Hi, my name is Amy Schneiderhan, and I'm a fourth grade teacher, and I would like to share with you a text set that I came up with to enhance a social studies unit on the Native Americans. I'm going to start with some three different nonfiction print texts for you. This first one is, Who Were the First North Americans? I would use this as a book to talk about the different types of houses that the Native Americans lived in. There's an example on page 8 of the different towns that they lived in. As well as longhouses and some wigwams. And I would have them create a diorama based off of these images in the book and different types of details that go along with what the Native Americans had in each house. Another one that I found was the North American Indian book. This is basically just an expository textbook that has a lot of pictures, and it has different captions to go along with the pictures. And I was just thinking this would be a great book to have on a discovery table within the classroom. I know my students at the end of the day or in the beginning of the day love to look at these books just to gather more information, and I actually like to hear them talk about it. It's pretty neat. So I would just have this for them at their fingertips so they could do some exploring on their own. And then I found another one called Indians of the Northeast. And this is great because it has a really detailed table of contents here. For example, it says, the first Americans, the Northeast woodlands, early life, living off the land, home and hearth. And I would use this to kind of create groups for students where I would have a jigsaw activity where each group would read a certain section or topic of this book, and then they would come together at the end and discuss what they found. So the students would kind of take control of their learning instead of me being up there and just giving them direct instruction. There were some other ones that I found. These are more just picture books. I'll show you the picture book I chose. This is called Encounter, and this is really neat because this is from Christopher Columbus's perspective, where he actually talks about his encounter with the Native Americans. And now that I think about it, I may add this to my text set, come up with a certain type of activity to do with this, just because it's neat to think about the perspective of somebody other than the Native Americans. The one I did choose, however, is Tampanum's Day, a Wampanoag Indian boy in Pilgrim Times. I chose this because within the story it has vibrant pictures, as well as different vocabulary that the Native Americans used in their language, but then it also supplies us as the readers with the actual English vocab word and the definition in some instances. And I thought this would be neat to, since this course talks about vocab so heavily, if we could talk about the different vocabulary words that the Native Americans used and then translate it to our language. So that was a picture book. A fictional text that I chose was Morning Girl, and this is a story about a young Native American girl who kind of talks about and lives on this land with her brother, and then later she eventually encounters life with Christopher Columbus and the first settlers. So it talks about that, but it's also historical fiction, and I thought this might be a neat book kind of as a choice for my students. I'm not sure if I would assign this for an actual reading assignment because it may not be a fitting book for everybody, but I would challenge my students to look at the historical aspects of this book and also the fictional aspects of this book, meaning what are some things in this book that are not historically accurate when it comes to what they've learned thus far with the nonfiction texts, and can they determine and distinguish the difference between what is historically accurate and what is fiction. Two online sources that I found were, now I printed it out so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but it's called Duckster's education site, where it has Native Americans for kids, and it has all of these different titles where you can specifically hone in your research about Native Americans. So you can look up culture and overview, and then specifically Native American art, agriculture and food, different tribes or famous people, such as Squanto or, let's see, Sitting Bull or Sacagawea. So there's a lot of different great specific websites that it will link the students to get gain more information. I also here have this underneath it. It comes along with this website. It's right underneath. It kind of gives a general overview of what information they're going to be reading. And then I finally found a Scholastic article, and I really like Scholastic because it's historically accurate. The articles they have really great reviews for teachers. And this is an overview of Native American history. And I really like this one because it would give the students an opportunity to read independently. It would allow them to highlight different key details about the Native Americans, as well as it has specific dates. And I was thinking maybe this would be a great opportunity for the students to create a timeline starting from when the Native Americans were discovered post Ice Age to even now today, which is where this article leads. And last but not least, I have a video on my text set from brainpop.com, and it goes through all the vocabulary. It shows all the different tribes. It explains why they were called nomads, how they hunt. It's pretty much just a great wrap-up video for the Native Americans, or an introduction video. And I really think, even though I'd be using it for my 4th graders, even I learned something from the video. So I really, really enjoy BrainPop. I hope you enjoyed my text set.